teka pande de dosa taiki jata la bara de kotononai rete namasunate rendende kepende le dosha tai erati kepele kosunene randanda kapande le zute pete yekete rete kenene koto jatata kapatele kotona marade de rate kepetele zutu kutui e kapande le shontai rande sunante le kete e late kapatele kosoto namaranda lande rende sukapaya telekete rende namatele kosuna telekete rete kepetele kete lakele kepele tekete ne manana kapayele rate teke Elekele kosuka tabara manene kepe ya rante nene kepe tele kede arane ne kepe ne kosuka ne kepe ne kosuka kupara tele kede aranta na mana kapante tele kede rante nene kepe te zuti kepe tele kotundi jatante le kotonda parante kepe tele kede rate te kepe tele kosuka kotoi rete te kepe tendele nduzunda nadanda shatele kede Letekebele kotokotoi ratata kapatele ketele kete zetele kosokoto tapai e kapatele kosuna manatente redi ratele sotokotoi e kapatala marande petele kete letika sitele kushatate e ratina makapandele zutokotona matele kete retete kepetele kosoto kapandele kete rana mande. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, um, good night, wherever it is that you are watching me from. In today's live, if you're new here, my name is Ayobami Bakari. Thank you so much for joining my live. Um, if you're a returning subscriber or you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming or for tuning in. If you just heard from somewhere, hello everybody. So in today's video, I'm just going to be talking, or today's live, I'm going to obviously be answering questions. So if you have questions, hi guys, hi Patrick, hi Adekoyi. So if you have questions, make sure to start typing them out. But in today's video, the main thing that I'm going to be focusing on is what you should look out for when you are applying to schools in USA, and then the whole admission process as in general, like from not even just like, because getting your visa is also part of the admission process, and even traveling down to the school is part of the admission process. So those are things that I'm going to touch base on in this YouTube live. So make sure to start typing out your questions um before I delve into the main video. But thank you for joining my life once again. Mm, So, the first thing that I actually wanted to touch base on is application fee issues. Um, so many schools would actually require you to pay an application fee before they review your application. And this is something that I feel like so many people don't put into consideration when they are trying to apply to schools. Yes, there are schools without application fees. There are ways for you to get your application fee waived. But even though you still need to factor that into consideration, just because a school is asking you for an application fee doesn't mean you should leave the school, doesn't mean you should stop applying to the school. Most times people go on to just say, oh, I want to apply to schools, and they don't understand that there are so many expenses that go into applying to a school and all of that before you even travel. Like even before you get accepted, there is so many things that you are going to put into consideration. So those are some of the things that I'm going to be talking about on here, so that if there's anybody at that stage, then I'm going the person is able to get information from here. Then I'm going to also talk about after you are accepted, the expenses that you need um to actually put into consideration. So as I was talking about the application fee, obviously I've spoken about getting an application fee waiver on Common App and all of that. So those are ways for you to get your application fee waived. But there's this, I wouldn't say peace now, but there's this level of superiority you have, or level of experience you have, when you already factor it in that, okay, schools might ask me to pay application fees, so that doesn't deter you from actually applying. Then the second thing that I wanted to talk about is, okay, so I'm going to be doing one before you accepted and one after you accepted, basically like that. So the thing that I wanted to talk about after you accepted is, and you are going to that school. So now anytime I say if you're accepted, that means you are going to go to that school, like you already have plans to go there. um Welcome to the new guys. Then, so this is something, the service fee. A lot of people haven't actually heard about like service fee, or even just paying the service fee, or that there are expenses you need to pay after you've been accepted. Like the service fee comes way before any other thing after you've been accepted. Like it will be your service fee that I would say people don't, not many schools will tell you, "Oh, there's a service fee, this is but if you are going to get a visa to travel out, you need to have your service fee. You need to have paid your service fee. So when I say service fee, yes, I mean SEVIS. It's an acronym. And when you are accepted and you want to go to the school, you have to pay your service fee. Then you have to take that receipt to the embassy. So, and without that, you can't. Most of the times, you can't actually get your visa. Like even though they give it to you, like you go there without paying your service fee and all of that, they might not give it to you. Some instances they might give it to you, but they will withhold the visa and your passport until they see the payment. So literally, you are still not getting it until you have paid all of, your service fee. Do you understand me? And there's a website to pay for it. And I know that from African countries, I don't know how, like, why Western Union doesn't work, but there are agents that pay your service fee for you. If Western Union works in your country, then you can use Western Union. If you have somebody in the USA, the person can pay for you using the money order. And it takes like some days for them to pay that money and for the service organization to send you your receipt. You see, that's the thing. Paying the service fee is not the issue, getting the receipt. Because once you pay, you can't actually start doing, on the website when it says track your application or track your payment, you are not able to do that for service fee. Once you pay, just be hoping. Normally, you're supposed to get your receipt within 3 or 5 business days. But some people, theirs doesn't come until like they start sending emails. So you want to factor that in also, and then it takes a while for it to now reflect on the embassy system. So normally the embassy is going to tell you that please make sure to pay your service fee at least 3 days or a week before your visa interview. So for me, I would say by the time you are applying for your visa, in fact, have pay your service fee if you can. If you cannot, that's fine. That just make sure that everything is ready before you go to the embassy. Then to the before you travel, the next thing that you need to put into consideration is sending of transcripts. I know that most schools allow you to submit it online and all of that, but some schools will want you to send it via DHL. Like their whole application is by paper for so many schools. And you want to consider that, like, is that what the school is asking you for? Is there no like option, especially as an international student? Make sure that they are going to accept your transcript electronically, not that you would have to now send it via DHL. Like if most times they would automatically put, if they are using Common App, then that means your school is able to submit it online on Common App for them. But If they're not using Common App, there's a direct application. When you start it, please make sure to check under the international student section that the email to send your transcript to is there. Like, but if they start putting address and you don't see the email, like you've researched very well on their website and you don't see the email, then you might want to email them and be like, I'm an international student. Is there a way for my school to send my transcript directly via email so that you don't just gonna apply? They've accepted you with your unofficial transcripts. They're now waiting for your official, and you know that like it might be expensive, but if you are going there, like that might be a good investment if you are going to end up going to that school. Then another thing that I wanted to say that you should put in mind when applying to schools is that if you want a fully funded scholarship, most of these schools will put it there that they meet 100% of demonstrated need for all students now, for all students, including international students. Another thing they would say is they are using the CSS profile, or they are using the ISFA, or they have the international financial aid application. Like they might have a separate application for their school, but so far they have an application for students to be able to apply. Like if they have something like ISFA that is particular to their school, you definitely want to apply to that one because that means they are going to consider you for full funding. But any school that is telling you um students are like they are giving scholarships, merit scholarships, then need based scholarships, I would say apply, but be cautious about it because it's not every time you would qualify for need based scholarships. Actually, because under need based, they should mention whether there is a CSS, ISFA, or any type of application that they use in that school. And if they don't, that means they're talking about their citizens, the domestic students, which is something that you want. Those are some terminologies that when you're looking for a fully funded school, that's something that you want to put in mind. If they say they are need blind, when a school tells you that they are need blind, that means even if you cannot pay or even if you can't afford the school, they are still going to check your application. And if you qualify, they will accept you. Do you understand? But that doesn't mean that they are going to give you full funding. They are just going to review your application even though you can't afford it, because some schools will not review your application if you cannot afford their school. Like they're not going to check your application. So that's something that you need to put in consideration. Like, is this school going to check my application? Are they going to offer me full funding? Then after acceptance, another thing that you want to put in mind is enrollment deposits. Once a school accepts you, most times is every school has a certain amount that they want you to pay for enrollment. Like they know that okay, this is the part that we want you to pay. That means once you pay that enrollment deposit, that means you are coming for sure. Most times in certain schools, once you pay your enrollment deposit, you are able to now upload a picture of yourself or your student ID and just get into the um get housing, apply for housing because you have to apply for housing. Some schools guarantee freshman housing, but some schools don't. So, as an international student, you want to get housing, you want to read up on their housing. Is it a 9 month contract? Is it a 12-month contract? Is it open during the breaks? If you don't have family here, is it open during the breaks? How far is it from campus? Is it on campus? Those are the things that you want to factor in before even like once like for me, I check everything as I'm applying to this school because you don't want to be accepted to a school that has only hostels or housing that is not open during the breaks and you're an international center and don't have any family here. Where are you going to stay during the breaks? It's going to be closed. So that's something that you should put into consideration, but it shouldn't really deter you because if they're accepting international students, they most likely already have separate housing, like separate buildings for them to stay in. So that's something you want to put in mind. And another thing is some schools don't accept international students at all. So don't just think, oh, this school is good, it has my course, there's full funding, this. Make sure that they accept international students. Make sure that there is like a, if possible, sometimes like when you're reading on the website, if they mention it, let me say, make sure they mention international student at least once. so that it's not that every information you are reading is for the domestic students and you now apply and write the essay. God help you, there's interview also, you do all of that, you pass, you're accepted, you now find out that, oh, the funding is not going to be enough, and then you have to apply to another school. Then another thing that you might want to put into consideration is that you are going to pay for your visa. Every I believe that every single country makes you pay, like if you are applying to USA, you have to pay for your visa. In Nigeria it was 67,200. That's for one person. So if you are going with your family members, like maybe if you are going with your wife or your children or your parents or anybody's going with you, based on that your visa, they also have to pay 67,200. They also have to create a DS-160. So for every single person that's going to travel with you, they have to create a DS-160. Don't say, oh, because I'm the one that has the I-20, I'm now going to go. Mm-mm. You're going to pay for that. Then before you are accepted now, make sure that all your information is correct. Like very correct. There might be mistakes, like no one's above mistakes, but to the best of your ability, make sure that it's correct. Cross check, cross check, cross check. If Google automatically fills certain forms for you, go back and check and make sure that it is your name that is there, the name that you want to see on your visa and on your I-20, because they would literally, some schools have a separate form, like after you've been accepted, um they'll send you a form for you to fill with your name and blah blah blah. But still, if imagine if the name you used to apply and the name you are now putting on your I-20 request form or your DS-160 request form is different. Like, what do you think international office is going to do? It's going to delay the processing of your I-20. Because you've been accepted, your I-20 might come sooner than later. And it might come earlier than you expect, or it might come later than you expect. So you want to make sure that once they check your application, there is no need for them to now be like, oh, let's go back and do this and do that. So that's for that. Then I was saying before you're accepted, make sure that all your info is there. If possible, have them somewhere else, write it somewhere else so that when your I-20 comes, you can cross check that this is what I'm saying, this is what I asked for, this is the course that I want to come and study. Um then for before you are accepted, you want to put in the fact that you might have to pay your school to get your transcript, or I'm not sure if you pay schools for recommendation letters, but you might have to pay for these things. These are some things that I think that people just don't put into consideration. They just want to apply and they just want to go. So as I was saying, you're going to pay for your visa fee, service fee, application fee, enrollment deposits. You might need to pay for housing if you're being accepted. You might need to not necessarily pay for housing, but just deposits, like a prepayment showing that if they give you that room, you are going to come. It's not always expensive, but the school always puts it there, like they always list it on their website. So in case you know that, okay, these are, maybe you're not the one paying your school fees, or even if you are the one or your family members or whoever, you might want to put that and let them know, like, oh, this is like for my enrollment deposit, this is for my service fee. Or your service fee is $350 for you. If you are going with any other person, they don't need to pay the service fee. Only you, the person with the F1 or the J1 visa, pays the service fee. For the F1 visa, it is $350. And for the J1 visa is 290. So for that $350, um, nobody has any questions. I'm just talking, talking, talking. You guys don't have any questions to ask, or I'm answering your questions. Let me know. Thumbs up if I'm answering your questions, or type out your questions. Okay. So as I was saying, that service fee needs to be paid. Like, you cannot bargain, and I'm hoping that it has not increased this year. But once you pay that, you pay your visa fee also. Then, before you are accepted to a school, another thing that I would say for you to factor in is, I'm for documents. Obviously, if you photocopy or scan at a cyber cafe, you have to pay for that. You have to pay. Okay, thank you. You have to pay for all of these things. So those are some things that once you check it out, like okay, this school is this. For me, I would advise you to, when you're searching for schools, look for schools that are transparent in codes. Like they already put all those things there for you. You don't have to be sending email like what is this, what is the decision on this for international students. Like if they already list it down there, it will be so helpful. But another thing is, once you've been accepted, even before you've been accepted, you are assigned an admissions counselor before you've been accepted in every single school. You have somebody that is going to reach out to you and be like, thank you for applying. These are the documents we need. Your application is not yet complete. Your application is complete. This is the stage of your application. This is the scholarship you have. So you want to be communicating with that person because they were the ones that received your application, even though it's the computer, but like still they know, they saw like the different things that you put on there. And then some schools have like, if you're not sure about applying to a school, this is before now. Some schools have like the live chats, like you can chat with an admissions counselor. Do not chat with the bots. When I say bots, the robots, the one that says like that shows the school's mascot. Don't chat with that because it's automated. You want to, for me, I want to chat, like some schools have live chat, so you're able to talk with somebody and ask all your questions even before you start applying there, before you add them to your common app. You are also able to fill a request form with your name, your email, your phone number, and put in all the messages and questions you have. They also have like emails for you to send questions to. So, and I keep saying it, before and after you're accepted, bombard them, send them those emails, send them emails, like send them emails so that any extensive question that you think, oh, this might make me like, this is making me somehow for before I go for my visa interview, or this is making me feel one kind before I apply to the school, send them emails. They are happy. When you send them emails, it doesn't change your application status. It doesn't stop them from reviewing your application. It doesn't put you on the bad side. So that's something that you need to put into like consideration. Especially before you're accepted, that admission counselor is your friend. Like if you can call, because they will be able to tell you like, if even they will be able to tell you, okay, this is now that you're at this stage of your application, there's a database that you can now go to and apply for scholarships. Like those are the people that give you the scholarship links. Do you understand me? If they have extra scholarships that they think you qualify, and because they were the ones that received the application, they would search across the database. Any scholarship you qualify for will automatically be added to your admission letter. So that's why you want to make sure that even if you are doing CSS, the CSS profile opens in October. And I know that so many of you might be feeling like, so imagine it opens in October, the school's deadline is November. So you basically have a month. So that's why I've been hammering that start your application from now, so that by the time October comes, you are just applying for CSS and you are submitting it. Not that it's now that October, you now want to start the school's application, write essays. You know, the CSS profile is somehow extensive, like with tax and everything. And then for some students, your school might email you and tell you they need more documents, they need you to fill more forms. So you want to give enough time before November 15, which is the deadline for a lot of schools. And like I said before, when you're applying now, it's for next year. It's for next year, August. It's for next session. For most schools that give you full funding, you apply a year before, basically, because it just gives you time to prepare. Um and then another thing is, before you apply, they might need, before you're accepted, they might need your passport. And for schools that ask for your passport, it's just for them to be sure that the name you are giving them is what is on your passport, so that even if, because some schools, once you're accepted, imagine a school where they accepted you, you already have full funding, and they tell, like they've already started the process of your items, they've sent your file to the information international student office, which is the ISO. In some schools, it's the ISSO, International Student Service Office or Scholar Office. You might want to go to the school's website and just go to their international student office page and read up on their financial aid, read up on the I-20, read up on the documents they will need you to send for your I-20 to be given to you, because you can't go to the embassy with your I-20. Simple. So as I was saying, before you're accepted, when they ask for your passport, I wouldn't say compulsorily now go and do passports unless the school asks for it. Sometimes you could let them know that your passport is still being processed. Like, be honest with them. If your passport is still being processed, if you cannot afford a passport at the moment, let them know like what is going on. Especially your admissions counselor, let them know. Okay, my family is at this point where they want to be sure that I'm going to come here before I am before they process my passport for me, because it's a financial hardship for my family. Especially if you're applying to a school that is fully funded, it would, I would just say, appeal to their emotions. Don't go and lie. But it will just let them know that you are being honest with them and you truly, truly are in this process. Not that you not say, oh, my passport, I'm going to send it. I'm going to send it on to 1 month. I'm going to send it on to 2 weeks. Mm-mm. Let them know if it's still being processed. Let them know this is the timeline in my country for the passport to come out. Let them know if this is the timeline for this, whatever document they're asking for, you don't have it yet. Let them know it's still being processed and this is the timeline for it, that it could come earlier or it could come later. Which is why I'm telling you to start your application now, because some schools, once you submit your application, they automatically start reviewing your application even before the deadline. So some schools will tell you if you submit by November 15, you will know if you've been accepted by December 15 of that same year. So that's for early decision or early action, one of the earliest. But once you do that, it's not every time that the school, some people would obviously they've applied way before November 15. And I feel like the school will still send you an admissions decision. But it's just letting you know. So some schools will review your application. If you submit before the deadline, they'll review your application and let you know that you've been accepted before the deadline. So while some people are still packaging the application, you've already been accepted. You already know if you're going to go there or not. Which is why I keep saying apply early, start working on your common app. Even if you don't know the school to apply to yet, let your common app be ready so that once you add the schools, if they don't need anything, you are submitting it immediately. If you need to start working on your common app application fee waiver, work on that with your school and let them know this is the part, this is the stage that I am. I need this letter to be written, blah blah blah, and all of that. And then, so any question, I'm still continuing. So at any point, just make sure to type your questions in. Then the next thing that I would say is, whilst you are working on that, and Common App, and for all the schools. Some schools, even if you submit way before the deadline, everybody is still going to get an admission decision latest January. So by December 15, everybody should have been accepted, the people that they want. So that's why I'm telling you to apply early, because they already know that, okay, these people are coming here. They already start making preparations for you, especially as an international student, or if you have any disability or anything you need them to take into consideration for your sake, you might want to apply early. And applying early just relieves the stress on you as an individual, because obviously I know that some people are not applying to one school. So imagine you now know that you're going to go to a lot of schools by December and the school is resuming August. You have time to buy your tickets, get ready for your visa interview and practice and practice and practice. Even if you apply early or late, like you apply on the deadline, go, 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 go. When I say November 15, I mean 11:59 a.m., which is 12 p.m. So think about it. It's not Nigerian time. So 12 p.m., 11:59 a.m. Nigerian time is 4:59. 4:59. And so you want to be like, okay, this is where. So that means if you're applying by that time in Nigeria, 4:59, your application can still be accepted. But once it's 5 o'clock, your application will not be accepted. So those are like, even though they tell you this is the time, don't rely on it. Submit way before the deadline. Nothing will spite you. Nothing will hold you. Hmm? What's the difference between official and unofficial transcript? Um, for me, the difference. is one official, your school sends it to the school. Unofficial, you submit it to the school, you upload it to the school. And if you go to a school where they you went to them and be like, oh, I need a transcript to be created, and they created a transcript for you and they gave it to you, that's unofficial. But even if that's the same thing they are going to send to your school, you don't need to bother about that. So far it's coming from your school is official. I I wouldn't say there's a format for it. Like I said, once it comes from your school, and they like whenever you're doing a transcript, make sure that anybody that doesn't even come to your school, that doesn't know you, understands, oh, she did this courses or he did this subject in this term, and this is what he got. And if he got A is 90 to 100. If he got 3.5, 3.5 is 90 to 100. 3.5 is maybe honors, whatever it is. My particular thing is the particular format. I won't say format, but one thing that you must never forget to put in your transcript: grading scale. Like most of them will even ask for a separate page explaining that. And so, even if you are going to submit an unofficial transcript, put the grading scale there. And so that it helps the school not how to convert your GPA. And that thing is, if your school doesn't have a GPA, then you want to make sure that you explain what 90 to 100 is, what 80 to 90, what all of those things mean. And I haven't really seen a lot of transcript, but I know that there's grading scale, there's GPA. If your school does it, but I would advise them to do it. There are GPA grading scale systems on the internet. So for most, you can use a 5 point GPA if you want, you can use a 4 point GPA if you want. Then make sure to put all your years. Like, I know Common App will tell you mid-year report and just the final year report. So your school can separate your transcript. If they are going to upload it directly to Common Application, it's already seen as official for some schools. So for some schools, once they drop mid-year, which will be in Nigeria, year 7 to year 9, which is GS1 to GS3, they can drop that. Or they can compile like GS1 to GS3, SS1 to SS3 together, like separately put together on the same in the same document, and submit it as your mid-year report and your final year report. But if they want to be generous enough, they can separate it for you and submit it like that. But I would advise that they compile it together in case you are submitting directly, like the school is not using Common App and you want to upload it to their application system, so that you're not uploading two transcripts, you're uploading one, so that at a glance they can see what you've done throughout your secondary school years. So GS1, under GS1, you could have first term, second term, third term. Then all the courses you did in GS1 will be listed there, and they could just write on top of GS1 to 3 junior secondary school or mid-year. I would prefer junior secondary school because it's explaining what JSS is for them if you are using JSS, or SS. Then under SS it has senior secondary school, and it explains that. So under junior secondary school, if you did subjects, they list it there. Obviously, subjects you did in junior school is different from senior school. So that's why I'm saying there's still going to be a demarcation, but it's on the same document. So this side could be junior secondary school and this side could be senior secondary school. GS1, under that you have first term, second term, third term. If you are from a country, whatever term or if it's semester, however they do school, that at the end of maybe 3 months, you are able to get your results. So maybe in maths, you had A in first term, B second term, third term, you had A. That's for year 7 mathematics. Then under year 7 now, year 7 first term would obviously have 90, blah 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 blah. Then there's a cumulation, there's an average. This is your average percentage. It could end up being 80% or 90%. Then from the 90 or the 80%, you now have the GPA for year seven first term, year seven second term, year seven third term. Then there could be a CGPA for year seven, CGPA for year eight, CGPA for year nine. Then under that, there's a CGPA for the whole of junior secondary school. They could also do that for senior secondary school and just leave it separately like that. And then they could now put your overall CGPA at the bottom to you, like to now explain what all of these things mean. So let your school explain. If they can put extensive explanation, that would be very good. And I also feel like official transcript, if it carries your school stamp, if it comes from your school's email, whether your school sends it to them in a sealed envelope with the school stamp by DHL or whatever. So far it's coming from the school, that's what official is. So some schools would allow you to submit your own official transcript before you're accepted. But once you're accepted and you are coming there, you need to submit your official transcript so that um on your I-20 they know they don't go and put awaiting documentation or awaiting English proficiency. If they do that on your I-20, that means you are coming to the if it says awaiting English proficiency, maybe they are telling you that that transcript is going to show your English proficiency and you do not submit it after you've been accepted, because I know it could be expensive to get an official transcript from your school. Even the unofficial too is still expensive, but still. And that thing is, once they've dropped it on Common App, that's what I'm saying. Do your Common App application now. Do all of those things now, so that once they have dropped it on Common Application, you start adding schools. Everything goes there. Everything goes to the place. Then, moving forward on your I-20, if there's anything like excuse me. If there's anything like English proficiency on your I-20, that means you are coming there to come and do English classes before you resume school. So you would do 3 months of English school, then they will now have to change your I-20. And if you go to the embassy with a 3 month visa, I-20, you are getting a 3 month visa. You want to make sure that your I-20 is stating the number of years that you are spending in the USA, and that your passport or your visa is going to help you do that. I hope I'm answering your questions. Mm, just a thumbs up. Just a thumbs up. Just a thumbs up if I'm answering your questions. If you have more questions, um, okay, thank you. Um, was there any other thing I wanted to mention? Mm, For Patrick, I think we're good to go. As I was saying, like all of those things, you need to put them into consideration. I have two videos talking about expenses you need to put into consideration before and after. The first one for before, the thumbnail is saying realities of studying abroad, and then the second one for expenses after is like the video I dropped recently. So I think this live video has been interesting. It has I hope it has enriched you. So the live video is going to come to an end, but thank you so much for joining my live video today. I come live every Saturday 11 a.m. Make sure to let your friends know, make sure to tell them so that they're able to join next week Saturday by the grace of God. I'll see you guys in my other videos. Thank you so much Adekonye, Albert, Patrick, Sam, Mboma. I'm sorry if I'm murdering your names, but thank you so much for joining my YouTube live. Other people that are on here, but they didn't type any questions, but you were here in the spirit, in the whatever, in the flesh. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much. Please make sure to watch my other YouTube videos and share. Um, if your school needs like specific instructions regarding the transcript, they can follow what I've said. But if they still need like specific, just send an email to me. My email. This is my email. Do I really remember? Okay, so this is the email. If you need like your me to talk to your school or anybody that is like maybe for the fee waiver also, you can send me an email. It is absolutely free. See you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye.